Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new video. Today I want to talk just one topic and one topic only, and that is again the PlayStation Classic, which was a real disappointment to many fans so far. But there is some sort of hope, because apparently Sony was just not really that careful with that mini edition of the PlayStation Classic. And yeah, let's put it this way. Apparently it's so easy to hack it. You just need to copy a few keys and then you're actually just ready to go, and hackers already are making good use of it. So let's jump into this. This is Kotaku, an article written by Ethan Gach yesterday, actually. I'm a little late on this one, and it's actually very interesting how this works. The PlayStation Classic was a great idea, he says, that was disappointingly executed. Not surprisingly, hackers have been hard at work trying to crack the novelty console, as they've already done with the Nintendo NES Classic and SNES Classic, or as I like to say, NES Classic and SNES Classic. The jobs have been made easier, the hackers claim, thanks to Sony reportedly housing the key to decoding the PlayStation Classic's firmware on the device. This is really big. Like, you don't put your private keys on the console that you are trying to secure, and this is already where it starts going crazy. Hackers already, as reported by Ars Technica, Yi Fan Lu pointed out on Twitter last week, and in between streaming his attempts to break from the console's digital architecture on Twitch. It's very easy to do. So far, they've been able to play unincluded PS1 games like Spyro using a thumb drive, and are currently working on getting the emulators working on it as well. Other emulators are working on it as well, I'm sorry. There really isn't any security on the device at all. Yin Fano told Kotaku in an email, Sony managed to accidentally include the firmware update private keys on every console. And yeah, this is where it just begins. Might take a little more time for homebrew developers to start changing how the PlayStation Classic's menu system works so it displays new games and box art. Simply playing them on PlayStation Classic was easy. The 20 included games are stored on the device in standard ISO format, the one that you use in order to store CD disk data, which is always like, okay, here's one image and it's coming in this ISO format, and there's no additional checks, so you can just replace the files or redirect the mount to somewhere else, like a USB drive. In fact, you can get the PlayStation Classic to load games and programs from other devices because there aren't any security checks to stop that from happening. And wow, this is halfway sad and halfway maybe an interesting chance, right? For people that just really want to have an actual PlayStation again, like the first one, to play games as they used to be. In a sense, like, yeah, you have the controller missing the dual sticks, of course, but on the other way, it's like a halfway officially licensed hardware because still, this isn't a RetroPie. This is a little bit stronger about everything, especially considering that it costs like 99 euros, at least here in Germany. And yeah, we can see here there's already a video running Crash Bandicoot Prototype on PlayStation Classic. It just works, right? So you can see, well, yeah, there's the boot up screen, and everything just being unlocked. No, where is it? Loading, and there we go. Crash Bandicoot, the original one. There's really clearly a good way about this, because if you can play games on the hardware as it was meant to be back in the 90s, there's very good chance that the compatibility and the actual feel of it is just really way better. As Digital Foundry, John Lindemann has also found out that some games that are running on 50 Hz instead of 60 Hz are just way laggy and choppy on the hands, feel way worse than they used to be. And bringing back and just swapping out editions, basically, that alone is a great thing, because you can have actually authentic versions from the releases that you used to play if you were in an NTSC region instead of a PAL region. But yeah, that's that. They're trying out different games, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and yada yada, and the more, like the hacker said, more disappointed by PlayStation Classic's lack of security, more so than the fact that it's missing Crash Bandicoot. My opinion is that Sony doesn't really care about this console. Everything about it was cut corners, including the security. It was a bit of a shame how easy it was to hack, considering the Vita was one of the most secure consoles ever released. And Sony did not yet respond. So, yeah. And this isn't a thing like where you could just say, for example, PlayStation 3 had Linux on the system, and that was a gateway to open up the console for hacking, and you could just patch it, because you would expect that most of the consoles were directly connected to the internet. This PlayStation Classic doesn't. It's just a standalone console. You can't connect the internet to it right away. But who knows, maybe even that will be a thing in the future. If they just solder on a few things, who knows? I definitely wonder what will happen next, and how, in quotation marks, easy it is to put something on there, and if it's even a viable solution to anyone else who's just like saying, I want to have a PlayStation Classic, but with the real games, wink wink nudge nudge. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and definitely really unexpectedly funny to just read up on everything about this. Like, when Reddit first reported, like, there actually are a few keyboards where you can actually open up a new menu, which will enable actually changes between the resolution and everything, and more emulation options. That is interesting alone. But this is the gateway to even more things related to the PlayStation Classic. But this is also the end of the story. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you again in the next video. Thanks so much for tuning in. Follow us everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, for example. And yeah, have a nice day, right? Good to see you, man. See you soon. Bye.